Good morning, my seventh graders. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, May 12th, 2020. Well, you guys, we only have like 5, 6 more weeks left. So hang in there. You're doing a great job. The first thing I wanted to say was thank you to everyone who completed the Friday check in. Something to get used to is to check Google Classroom every Friday. What we're going to be doing today, the second thing we're going to be doing is a review of where we left off last week. A one slide, just going to cover what we talked about, and then we're going to move into our sexual assault PowerPoint. So we have a video, we have a definition and some examples. We're going to go over some statistics of sexual assault and sexual violence. And then I have a follow-up video of women talking about why they didn't report this. And then we're going to dive a little bit deeper. And I want you to think, why wouldn't someone report someone for doing something bad to them? You know? All right. A few reminders right here. Office hours today and Thursday from 1:30 to 2. Reminder to be kind, be respectful, or be on your way out because it's not a negative space. Thank you to those who have already joined office hours. This is another reminder to just check Google Classroom every Friday for your weekly Friday check-in. All right, so review. Sexual harassment. The definition of sexual harassment is unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature in the workplace or learning environment or other professional or social situations. So I underlined what exactly are the examples of sexual harassment. I'm sorry, my email is going off. So sexual harassment is unwelcome sexual advances. That's one example. The second example is a request for sexual favors. That's another example of sexual harassment. And the third is verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature. So verbal, saying things, or physical, which could be touching. And this can happen in the workplace, so somewhere you work. This can happen somewhere you learn. This can happen in a professional environment or in a social environment, so like parties. Some examples are making sexual jokes, comments, or gestures to or about someone. Joking with somebody like that is very inappropriate. And I hear this often in school, and it's something that we say is not appropriate. Making comments about somebody, not appropriate. Showing someone inappropriate sexual pictures or videos. That is something that is also sexual harassment. Asking someone to send you naked pictures of herself or himself, aka nudes, that is sexual harassment. Touching, grabbing, or pinching someone in a deliberately sexual way. So that's that touching part. That's that physical part of sexual harassment. Pulling at someone's clothes or brushing up against them in a purposeful sexual way. So you want to get closer to them, you're rubbing up against them, but that is a physical example of sexual harassment. This is a verbal example. Asking someone to go out over and over again, even after the person has said no. If somebody has said no, they do not want to go out with you, you're going to have to take that and accept it. You're not going to keep asking again and again and again and again. Then that becomes sexual harassment. There are plenty of fish in the sea. You will find a partner that's perfect for you. Trust me. All right, that's our review. Now let's get started talking about, what is sexual assault? These are words and vocabulary that are very, very similar, but they focus on different things. Sexual assault. So think about what is sexual assault for a second. All right. I'm going to play this video. It's short. It talks about what is sexual assault.
Hey Barb, what's up? I've never seen you this sad on Nugget Day. I don't care about stupid nuggets or stupid dipping sauces.
But there's 3 flavors. Three flavors.
It's just Mr. Squall asked me to stay after school for the third time this week, and sometimes he gets a little too close.
Squirrely Squall? That guy's a total perv.
Wait, are you saying that Mr. Squall... are you worried he might sexually assault you? Sarah!
Can't we talk about dipping sauces?
I know it's uncomfortable to talk about this stuff, but it's really important. My sister's a social worker, and she told me all about sexual assault. Basically, sexual assault is when someone does something sexual to another person without getting their permission first. That can include anything from touching someone's genitals, breast, or butt, inserting something into any of their body parts, or showing them something sexual when they haven't given their explicit consent.
Explicit consent?
Explicit consent is a clear, voluntary agreement to do something, in this case, something sexual. A shrug or silence doesn't count, and you can't give consent if you're feeling threatened or if you're drunk or high. If you consent to one thing, it doesn't mean you consent to everything, and you can take it back at any time you change your mind. Okay, but what do I do about Mr. Squall? If he assaults you in any way, first remember that it's not your fault. No matter who you were with, how you were dressed, or what you were doing, you have nothing to feel guilty about, period. If anyone ever rapes you or hurts you in any way, get to a hospital fast. Tell them what happened, and they can help you take the steps to prevent illness or pregnancy and get you to the additional support you'll need. Most importantly, you should tell someone you trust, like your mom or a school counselor. You can tell them face to face, over text, on the phone, or however you're most comfortable. Talking to us was a good start. Ugh, I'm freaking out.
Me too.
It's normal to feel weird or scared about speaking up, especially if you know the abuser. But it's brave to talk about sexual assault or any unwanted sexual behavior that makes you feel uncomfortable. You'll be protecting yourself and other people too. Thanks, Sarah. I think I better go talk to the counselor.
We're here for you, Barb, no matter what. Here, take one of my dipping sauces. Just not the Szechuan.
Okay. Oh, and I like that I stopped this here perfect because um there is a hotline and there is a website for you to visit. So Rain, we're actually going to be visiting this website in a little bit to look at some statistics, but it's important to know that this is a good website to go to if you want to learn more or if you need help. These are both phone numbers to call if you need help or you know someone who has been sexually assaulted that needs help. So it's a good video. It's short, it's to the point. Sexual assault, is when someone is doing something to you sexually that you did not agree upon, that you did not want happening to you. Our definition right here is when someone does something sexual to another person without getting their consent first. Our next lesson is going to be all about what consent is, what it looks like, and why it's so important. But first, let's go over some examples of what sexual assault can look like so that you're aware. It can be rape. Now, that's something that we've heard before, which is sexual intercourse against a person's will. So that's when somebody has sex with you and you do not want that. Forced sodomy could be anal or oral sex against a person's will. A person's will, oh, I'm so sorry, is basically going against what somebody wants. Forced object penetration. So that means when somebody is inserting an object in you that should not be there. Marital rape is interesting because it is when your partner, you're married to this person, but this person goes against what you said and what you've asked, and and they do some sort of sexual intercourse to you that you did not want. Unwanted sexual touching you in places that you know you should not be touched by another person. Sexual contact with minors. So, obviously, it's extremely inappropriate when an adult and somebody under the age of 18 is in a relationship or having sex. Incest is when somebody in your family could have sexual intercourse with you, which is very inappropriate. That is sexual assault. and any unwanted sexual contact. So anything that is happening to you that you feel is inappropriate, that is they're touching you a certain way, they're talking to you in a certain way, when it's happening to you and something that you do not want. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very, very mature topic that we're talking about. And it's so important that even though we're not in class, that we're still talking about these things because health is reality. Health is around you everywhere. And it's unfortunate that there are bad people in this world doing things that they should not be doing. And it's important that you, one, know what those things are and know how to identify them. You need to understand that what sexual assault is and what it looks like so that you can help a friend, you can help a family member, or you can help yourself. Um, this is unfortunately ongoing. This isn't something that just stops. So throughout your life, I'm going to need you to practice being safe, practice being smart, and especially I need you to practice consent. And we're going to talk about consent um, Thursday. I found this visual that I want us to go over with a statistic before we go look at some other statistics, um, because it also includes this definition. So, sexual violence refers to any sexual activity when consent is not obtained or given freely. Sexual violence impacts every community and affects people of all genders, sexual orientations, and ages. Anyone can experience or perpetrate sexual violence. People who perpetrate are usually someone the victim knows, such as a friend, current or former inmate partner, coworker, neighbor, or family member. So perpetrator means that's the person who's doing the bad things. So those people doing the bad things can be a friend. It can be someone that you know, a coworker, a neighbor, a family member, right? It says right here, in a nationwide survey, so that means across the United States, over 7% of high school students reported having been forced to have sex. That's awful. That's awful that anybody has been forced to have sex. High school students, so that's young people who are probably not in control are being forced to do this. And this is an awful percentage, 7%. About 1 in 10 female, so it's 1 in 10 women. Imagine in your head 10 women, one of those, and then in your head imagine 1 in 32 men. Students reported experiencing forced sex in their lifetime. So in the whole span of your lifetime, about 1 in 10 women and then about 1 in 32 men. So that means more women than men have reported experience feeling forced to have sex. We all know that we don't want to be forced to do anything. um, at your age, at my age, feeling forced to even do something as simple as, a chore around the house, to take a shower. Okay, those are positive things you're being forced to do. But still, being forced to do something doesn't always feel great. Now imagine forcing somebody to have sex. That's an awful feeling that you feel is out of your control. What we're going to do now is now we're going to go together and I'm going to do this and we're going to look at some different statistics. So this is taking us to the website that I mentioned after that video, RAIN. Okay, this is the first graph we're going to look at. And it's titled Sexual Violence Has Fallen by More Than Half Since 1933. So these are sexual assault from 1993 to 2016. Okay. So these are the years on the bottom, all the years listed all the way up to 2016. And this is the number of sexual assaults. So from 1993 to 1997, It was pretty high. Unfortunately, there's a pretty high number of sexual assaults. It was above 600,000 cases. You can see that it's gone down and up. It kind of, you notice that it kind of goes down. Okay, now it keeps going down, 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 which is good in 2005. And then it spikes up in 2006. It drops down in 2007, goes up again in 2008. Okay, and then we see it dropping a little bit in 2011. It's pretty low. Okay, then it jumps up a little bit more. It drops 2014, 2015, there's a spike. And then 2016, it falls back down. The rate of sexual assault and rape has fallen 63% since 1993, from a rate of 4.1 assaults per 1,000 people in 1993 to 1.2 per 1,000 people in 2016. So the number of sexual assaults has dropped, but you can see in 2016, still 300,000 victims of sexual assault were reported. So this is information of reported sexual assaults. So not everything is reported. We're going to scroll down and we're going to look at how often does sexual assault occur in the United States? So this is the number of people victimized each year. So these are the people who are the victims that it's happening to. Inmates. So that means people in prison. About 80,600 people in prison were sexually assaulted or raped. So it's scary. It's a high number of people in prison, in a facility where they should be monitored, they should be kept safe. This is happening to them. Even though they may be in prison or jail because of something bad that they did, it's still very unfortunate and sad that rape and assault are happening to them. So it's like this violence that keeps happening. Children, 60,000 children were victims of sexual abuse. General public, so that means everyone. 433,648 Americans 12 years or older were sexually assaulted or raped. Military, 18,900 experienced unwanted sexual contact. These numbers are still high, which is very scary, and it's very important to think about yourself and control yourself and make sure that you do not become somebody who's doing this to another person. And you need to make sure that somebody who's doing this to you is stopped so that it doesn't happen to anybody else. So everyone is affected by sexual violence. Every 73 seconds, another American is sexually assaulted. That's a little over a minute. A minute is 60 seconds. So almost a minute. 1 out of every 6 American women, so 1 of 6, count on your fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 out of every 6 American women has been a victim of an attempted or completed rape in their lifetime. This one down here says about 1 in 33 for men have experienced attempted or completed rape in their lifetime. Have experienced. So that means that 1 in 33 men have been a victim, while 1 in 6 women are a victim. From 2009 to 2013, Child Protective Services agencies substantiated or found strong evidence to indicate that 63,000 children a year were victims of sexual assault. And that's the really hardest thing to hear and to talk about with you guys is the children piece. You are the most vulnerable. You are the most at risk because a lot of the time you don't know what's happening. You don't know who to go to. You maybe think that this is happening for a reason, that you did something wrong, and none of those things are the case. And what my job is, and I take full responsibility, is making sure that you know where to get help, making sure that you know that this is not your fault, and making sure that you grow up and your lifetime that you do not become somebody who is causing these unfortunate incidences. Okay. So it says 9 out of every 10 victims are female. Okay. Look at your hands. So 9, put down 9 fingers. Okay. It's that one man that has that statistic of being raped, but 9 out of 10. It happens to 9 out of 10. So you're putting up 9 fingers. That's how many victims there are of rape that are female. So it says 90% are female, while 10% are male. Much smaller group for men. And it's interesting. I want you to think, why do you think there's a smaller percentage of men than women this is happening to? And this is now talking about where this is occurring. So this 55% of sexual assault occurs at the victim's home. That's a high percentage. A lot of sexual assault happens at home. That means it's happening by people that we know. 15% happen in an open public space. 12% happen at or near a relative's home. 10% happen in an enclosed but public area such as a parking lot or a garage. And 8% happen on school property. So, what was the survivor doing when the crime occurred? 48% were sleeping or performing another activity at home. 29% were traveling to and or work from work, traveling to or from work or school, or traveling to shop or run errands. 12% were working, 7% were attending school, 5% were doing an unknown or other activity. Wow. It's really hard, tough information to think about. So now I'm going to stop here and I'm going to have you um, watch a video, and we're going to go back to this. And I want you to think about during this video, why didn't this person report sexual assault? Why? Oops, sorry. Here we go.
I was 22 when I was raped.
I was 19.
I was 20. I didn't report it for, 1,000 reasons, a million reasons. It was somebody I was involved with. It was a friend of a friend.
My drug dealer.
Met this photographer by myself.
I got very drunk. I met some guy in this bar.
He started trying to kiss me, and I said no.
He takes my left leg and raises it on his shoulder.
He went to put his hand in my panties, and I tried to kind of deflect his hand, and that's when he slapped my hand away.
I blacked out.
I was fighting pretty hard at this point, just saying, no, please don't, please don't.
I came to, internally, I was shaking. I was really trying to look as calm as possible. And I could tell that something that I hadn't wanted to happen happened.
He held me down, and he forced himself inside me.
I was being pleasant and nice just so I could remain safe and get out of there.
And I kind of just ran out into the street with my pants on inside out and my shoes off.
And he sat up and he looked at me, and that was, I guess, the scariest moment for me, because I could tell he was deciding whether he was actually going to stop or not. And that was the moment that I realized that I had thought I was in control of a situation that I was not in control of at all.
And I blame myself for putting myself in that situation.
I knew that I had no proof.
I could hear people's judgment saying, well, why did you do that? It was your fault.
I was still in physical pain from this and sitting there going, oh, well, no one's going to believe me.
It was my word against his.
Everyone was just going to go, this girl just, slept with this guy and changed her mind.
I wasn't the perfect victim.
I
I figured who's gonna believe some cokehead college girl?
I didn't like try to fight him off, or I didn't slap him around, or I didn't pick up the phone and call 911.
I didn't know that I was important enough to draw boundaries around what people could and couldn't do with my body. Who wants to come forward with the literal most violating thing that can happen to you, relive it, and then have people telling you that you're making it up?
I thought I would just be better off trying to put this behind me.
I couldn't imagine pressing charges and then having to sit in a courtroom and look at his face over and over.
I thought, well, that's like giving him what he wants. Like, I'm spending more time on him, or spending more energy on this.
I imagine, and I think rightfully so, that it would have been more traumatizing for me in many ways had I reported it. It's up to a survivor to decide what they do with their story. It's up to them if they want to report it or not.
I don't want this to be a part of who I am.
I hated myself a lot at the time.
We are violated, we are harassed, we are touched, we're trapped, we're scared. And we just take a chip on the shoulder and we keep our lives going, and that's not fair to us.
And I think it would be wrong to tell them that they don't get to decide what happens next.
Okay, I'm going to stop today's activity for here, right here. But it was really heavy. It was really a lot to take in. We were going to continue talking about this on Thursday. Thank you, though. I appreciate your maturity through all of this. And have a great rest of your day. I will be available during office hours from 1:30 to 2 today.